Hello. I'm starting.
It's enough, I think. It's enough, I think.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green live stream. I'm your host, Edie Arndell, and this is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Scott Free.
Hey, everybody.
We have some very special guests tonight. Jennifer Sullivan from the National Green Party Women's Caucus and many, many other things.
Yay.
And Rick Lass from the National Green Party Ballot Access Committee, and he helps out with the GCCC.
Yes.
What's up, y'all?
Right. Hello.
Hello. So,
GCCC. Remember that name.
I like
Yes.
that. That just feels more rolling off the tongue.
Not to be confused with CCC.
Oh, right. There you go.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So did you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves really quickly, Jennifer? Just like
Well, there was a bio, but I'm really, I guess I'm from the radical left. It really bothers me when Trump says the Democrats are the radical left. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not at all. So it's very disturbing. And I guess I would just start out by saying, you know, when it comes to elections, no country is great if the people can't relate. So we need proportional representation now more than ever, but we always needed it. I mean, that's the whole idea of democracy, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So Rick, I'll pass it to you.
I'm Rick Lass. I live down in southwestern New Mexico. I've been involved with the Greens for a long time. I had a 20-year plan 30 years ago, and we're a little behind. So hopefully some people can help step up and help me envision what I thought was going to have already happened. And we can have real power to the real people and not just the billionaire classes having their two choices. So I'm really happy to be here. Thanks to Edie and Scott for inviting us. We had a great conversation last week, a webinar on proportional representation, which I'm sure we'll touch on. And I'm just really excited. I feel this year is a pivotal year for the Green Party. I really feel a lot more enthusiasm and momentum than I felt in a long time, and I'm excited about it.
Excellent.
Well, I do too, Rick. And I will say this, you know, you felt a little, you know, you're feeling like a little like, why hasn't this happened yet? But, you know, we've had to been fighting money. And so money buys influence, power, people, votes, and bad ideas. So now people are going to be wanting some good ideas for a change, and they're going to go with the Greens.
There you go.
The party with good ideas.
Yes.
Great ideas.
And I want to remind everybody, Scott and I are trying to get to 500 subscribers. So if you're watching, please like, subscribe, and share, and get other people to subscribe. Our producer's not here today, so we'll try to get to your comments. I see there's 4. Oh, okay. Surviving's here. Hello, everyone. Michael. Hey, Jennifer.
You know, you're close. You're close to 500, right?
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
4:30, I think. We're at around 4:30.
Yeah. We're getting about 30 per month, which is wonderful. But you know, we want to like remind people, like help us out.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Do what Katie Halper does, because I'm going to freeze the show until I get all these likes.
Oh, I didn't know she did that. Oh, threaten people there.
She's like, I see this many in here. Why don't I see that many likes?
Wow. Okay, we're not that
she goes
brutal.
To Aaron Latte. She goes, I'm sorry, Aaron, I'm going to have to do this. Yeah. So
that is funny.
Oh, who's got a free Luigi pin?
Oh, here we go.
Your free Luigi pin is very popular.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yes.
I'll go.
I brought some. I brought some to the the thing in Seattle.
Nice.
To the Workers Strike Back.
Oh,
I had
missed
5 of them. I told them.
Nice.
Oh yeah, well they sold like hotcakes. I only had 5.
Oh.
I should have got more.
That's where Jennifer and I met. So
nice.
This is how part of this came together. So
cool.
Let's talk about proportional representation, or pro-rep, which I really like that. Who wants to start?
Oh, I can start
with you, Jen.
He's Rick's going to talk more about the GCCC. So anyway, I'm going to just say that, as people are freaking out about their retirement money going up in smoke and are losing their jobs, more people are now out in the job market thanks to the Doge demolitions. And so the USA is ahead of all the countries in the world with billionaires. China's next, Germany is next, then UK, India, Russia, Hong Kong, and Switzerland have the next. They're about equal with the millionaires. Billionaires, I should say, billion with a B. So here's what we don't have that most democracies do have: healthcare for all and proportional representation. Here we are joined in not having it by Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, us four. Wow. So those are the democracies that don't have it. There's countries that are not considered democracies, and they don't have it either, like China, Russia, India, most Middle Eastern countries, and Eastern Europe. And that should be enough to make you say, what? Because 93 countries have it. So basically what it is you are represented in this country. You're represented by all these representatives. There are 435. It's been frozen that way for 100 years. And I guess they just don't want to build a new Capitol building because they're too busy building, billion-dollar bombers or something. But anyway, the idea is that we're supposed to be represented by these people, and each representative that's out there right now is representing 750,000 people. And do you think any of them are that qualified to be doing that? I can't think of anyone that, offhand. So John Adams, he wrote that in 1776, Congress should be like in miniature, an exact portrait of people at large. It should think, feel, reason, and act like them. Do you feel like that's what's going on in Congress? Any comments?
Not at all.
If we were Israeli, yeah.
Burn.
Oops.
Wow, yeah, that's true. We are definitely, we are feeling the Israelis in our U.S. Congress. Yeah, but as far as people here, and so this freeze, it was expanded though temporarily in 1959 when we brought in, and it was through 1959 and through 1963 when we brought in Hawaii and Alaska. But otherwise, it's right at 762 representatives. People that are being represented by one representative. So we actually should have, instead of 435, 593. And so we need 157 more. And we need them bad. We need them right now.
Well, we just need the way to together.
Yeah, and we don't need more of the same types of people either.
Right.
Pretend like it's the airplane.
Yeah, and the idea with this proportional is instead of dividing the country the way it is right now, what we have is every state gets at least one. So we got these minuscule states, and this is really what got me looking into it, was because when we had the last election, the Green Party came in third. We came in third because we represent what people want, really. And with all and maybe we can speak to this later, but just the disruption, the things they're trying to keep us out. The Democrats worked harder against us than they did against Trump. And so anyway, we still came in third, beat all the other countries. There was like 4 socialist parties running. I have a whole list of all the different parties that were running. A lot of different parties ran, and we came in third in the country, beat libertarians finally. So it's showing that despite all the pushback, despite all the keeping us off the ballot and so on, people do want Greens. So if we had proportional, what we would do is we would realign the states differently. Instead of saying, this state gets, Wyoming and which is the smallest state, and Vermont and Alaska and North Dakota, they each get 1. Well, what we would do is we would divide up the 349 million people. We would divide that 593 into that, and it would bring it down. It still wouldn't be that great, but it would bring it down to 500,000 some people represented. But we would just divide each state. And, some states maybe would still get 1. Wyoming has just a little bit more than that. But, some of the statistics I figured out was the population of Wyoming that gets 2 senators. If you take their population into the population of California, It's 66 Wyomings. California is worth 66 Wyomings. Texas is worth 52 Wyomings. Florida is 39 Wyomings.
Yeah.
New York is
well, the
33
Senate
Wyomings.
was not designed to be representative.
No.
The Senate was designed to be the cooling off period from what the people want. It's like the deliberative body. Everybody gets to. I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea. I'm just saying that's what they told us it meant.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought
it's
with
a
Jennifer's
whole other battle. I think the battle that we could win, because a lot of people are talking about it. I mean, the Pew Institute, the New York Times, NPR, a lot of different groups are talking about it. And it's not just, it's not just us. In fact, there's like, there was 200 scientists, and what was it? It's like, we're not alone. Let's see. It's this winner take all. Let's see. More than 200 leading political scientists and historians signed an open letter in 2022 calling the House of Representatives to adopt proportional representation. And there are guidelines to follow. There are states that have it. Rick, do you want to talk about some of those states we were, from our show?
Yeah.
Well, I thought the most interesting thing you said is about John Adams saying that it should look like the people, like Clinton's famous quote that his cabinet would look like America, that it never really did. But I ran for office in 2002, and if I had won, I'd have been the only person in the New Mexico state legislature that was paid an hour by the hour. Everyone else is a professional, they're on salary or they're retired. So the Congress is worse, but the state legislatures are all pretty bad too when it comes like looking like their constituencies. And I think for proportional representation, that's probably where we're going to have to start, is getting states like California to adopt proportional representation for their state legislature. Other states, before the show, we were talking about the 26 states that have citizens initiative, because we know the state legislators and the Congress are never going to change the rules unless they're forced to, because they've learned the rules. They know how to win under the rules. Why would they want to change them? So we need to look at the Proportional Representation Coalition in California, of which the Green Party is a member, and many other parties as well. Some of the parties you mentioned, Jennifer. And we need to look at how we can get it done through an initiative process, get it on the ballot, because once people see how it can work, they love it. Under the current system, we had 2 election cycles in a row where Green Party candidates got 17% of the vote for Congress in New Mexico. Any other democracy, almost, the Greens would have had 17% of the seats. And then people who voted Green would have someone to go to say, hey, you're Green, I'm Green. Why aren't you working harder on renewable energy, for instance, universal health care, for instance. But we have this backwards program where instead Greens worked really hard in those elections, got a lot of votes, and instead we got Republicans elected, we got called names, we got no representation. It was just atrocious. And, it doesn't make any sense. We have Greens in the Congreso in Mexico. We have them in Germany, all around the country. We have Greens elected to office, and in some places sharing in government, because they have proportional representation. And whether it's 10% or 20% or 30%, the voters get represented. And instead, in the U.S., we have the opposite problem, where people get them all excited, vote for the Green, they vote for the Green, the Greens lose, and it just turns them off. They're not going to vote again. They weren't going to come out and vote for the lesser of two evils, regardless of what the mainstream media tells you. They were going to stay home, and now they're staying home again because they feel frustrated by our electoral system.
Yeah, we have a banner running, and it's the referendum on the proportional representation that Rick and Jennifer did, and I would highly recommend that people go see that, because it's definitely an educational video. And I was a part of Fair Vote Illinois for quite a while, and Fair Vote Illinois does ranked choice voting, and there's a learning curve there. It takes a while to figure out, okay, how does ranked choice voting work? Okay, now I get it. And the same thing has to happen with this proportional representation, because I had no idea. And it's a really interesting process. And like Rick had said, there's like 26 states where this could actually happen because they have binding referendums. Illinois is not one of them. We do not have binding referendums. So I highly recommend everyone watch that, because it's a really fascinating, different way of putting your candidates into office. It's really excellent.
And you mentioned Fair Vote. The National Fair Vote Organization has a bill in Congress called the Fair Representation Act that would enact proportional representation. We'd have to appeal. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a law that was passed in the 60s that required all Congress people be elected from single seat districts. And so that would have to be repealed. But, for instance, just as the very basic primer, New Mexico has 3 congressional seats. Instead of all the gerrymandering that happens every 10 years and they cut out this part and whoever's in charge gets the extra seat, we would just have a vote for 3 Congress people. So every New Mexican could vote for all 3. And then we could get, if you got a third of the vote, the Greens could actually compete in a scenario like that, where we could get a third of the vote and get a congressperson elected. And other states like Illinois, I don't remember how many congressional districts you have, but it would be like you'd cut it into 5 chunks of 3 seats each or something like that.
Okay.
Wyoming would still be Wyoming, unfortunately, Jennifer. But
I wanted to post some of the comments. We got some lively comments going on here.
Please.
Michael says maybe we could start a similar movement in Washington State.
Let's.
Yeah.
Oh, you should. Definitely.
My buddy Joe. What's up, Joe?
In New Mexico, I just wanted to quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say New Mexico would get more than 3 seats, because remember, we need 157 more seats. So, you may get 4 or something. But the whole point is, you just redo the districts instead of making them like they are. It doesn't have to be like that.
It would go by population, right?
I mean, yeah. And so you would, basically you allot so much to each state, and it would be, some of the states would be pretty similar, but it would, you're going to have to add some. And I think the bigger states are unrepresented more than, they're what they do right now is like when New York lost population and Florida gained it, Florida became the 3rd largest state and New York is the 4th now. So we switched places. So all they did was like, they took 2 representatives away from them and gave us 2. So it sounds like, oh, that's fair, but it's not really fair, because I think we're all getting shorted. We definitely are. We're the outlier with 762 constituents per representative. And we're the 3rd largest country in the world. We have almost 350 million people. So the UK has 66 million people, and they have 650 members.
Yeah. Somebody was
in their house.
Hear about New Zealand. Did New Zealand move from winner take all to proportional?
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
We know how they did that.
Yeah, well, that is in that video because, Lynn Serpy helped them do it, and she was on the video that we did originally, the last week. But Germany's Bundestag, that has 709 members. So, they can handle it. Why can't it's like that's just their representatives. We're talking about, we're not even counting our senators, but that's a whole nother battle. But we could do it. We don't want to do it. Iceland, for instance, has the best. It's a little over 5,000 people get represented by a representative.
That sounds about right, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds like right. We actually should probably have more.
What if we just shut down the Pentagon and use that space? No, I'm kidding.
There you go.
So why not? The question about New Zealand is that they did do it in a with a citizens initiative. So I didn't see the person's name who asked that question, but that's what they did. And Lynn Serpy, who's a guest on the YouTube video from last week that was hosted by the Gateway Greens. She's on there, and she worked on that campaign. She's worked in British Columbia, Ontario, and New Zealand on proportional representation campaigns. And They would have won in British Columbia. They got 58% of the vote, but you need 60% to pass an initiative in British Columbia. So even though the majority of people wanted it, they didn't get it, which is, I guess, another topic for another day.
Yeah,
but it is interesting
I'll show one
how
more
the
comment.
majority wins there.
Hang on, I'm going to show one more comment. So
Sure.
Since Ariel couldn't make it today, he's not feeling well. The guy who got less votes than Jill is now the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and he has zero medical background. Jill, an MD. What a country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just shows you don't have to really be qualified. You can just host a TV show like The Apprentice, and then everybody knows who you are. And when you're a celebrity, then you can just talk crazy talk and do crazy things with the economy, and people
They buy in.
somehow vote
Right.
for you.
Yep.
I mean, when I heard him say they're eating the dogs, I thought, well, that does it. He's out of there, but no. Apparently it's okay.
Well, you know what happened there, right? Him
What?
saying that destroyed that community.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I do know about that. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the Haitians were actually a very vital part of the community, but yeah. And that was in
Terrific.
Ohio, in his vice president's state. So yeah, they basically cause problems, and then they don't solve them, but they, do busy work to try to seem like they're solving them.
Yeah.
But they never really get a lot done. I mean, anyone that really follows politics can see that, and it's frustrating. And it's very frustrating to us, but that's why a lot of people don't vote, because they just see it and they go, WTF.
The largest voting bloc is the non-voter. It's 80 million people. If all of them would vote, it would change everything.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
But I want to ask.
Last election, it was 90 million that didn't vote.
Huh?
Last election, last presidential election, 90 million people didn't vote. So really, in essence, 90 million, nobody won.
Yeah.
90 million won.
The couch one.
Yeah, exactly.
The couch.
So I wanted to ask Rick about the GCCC and what they do.
Yeah, well, I guess the segue is that if we're going to have proportional representation, we need to have that means we'll have a multi-party democracy, and we need multiple parties to get there. So I'm fortunate enough to be working with the Green Congressional Campaign Committee. Yes, Green CCC or GCCC is a lot easier to say and has a nice ring to it. And what we're doing is recruiting candidates and supporting candidates. And you can see our website is in the bottom, gccc.us. There's a page there that shows the work we did in 2024. Your producer, who's not here tonight, did a lot of the work producing the videos that we ended up producing videos for candidates and then doing social media buys for them. But we're much more than just supporting some candidates. We're putting together, along with the CCC, which is the Green National Committee that is called the Coordinated Campaign Committee. And we're putting some really basic videos together for campaigns, how to deal with the FEC in national races or just financial filings in general, how to do quality volunteer recruitment and retention, how to be effective on social media. Don't ask me, someone else will be in charge of that, don't worry. So we have like two tiers. One is just general support for Green Party candidates, because we've just looked at a lot of the last few elections, and it's not all bad, but there were a lot of really big gaps in our campaigns last year, and we're trying to fill those. We're also creating a job board. I've talked to 2 different CPAs that said they'll work as treasurer for campaigns, but don't talk to them right now because it's tax season. But and we're looking for people that are willing to be campaign managers, volunteer coordinators. I've been talking to a lot of people that want to help out, and we want to help campaigns get connected to quality people that can help their campaigns. A lot of them were just run on a shoestring budget and just the candidate trying to do everything, and that's not a recipe for success. So I'm really excited. Like I said, I've talked to a lot of people, hundreds of people in the last couple months. We're recruiting candidates. We're talking to state parties about recruiting and supporting candidates. We're doing some fundraising right now to get seed money so that we can produce these videos and do the kind of work that we want to do. It's really exciting. I am getting such positive feedback from people. I'm really enthused, and that's why my comment earlier about this seems like it's really a cusp year for the Green Party comes. And it's not all bad news. Our congressional candidates scored triple the number of votes than they did in 2022.
Wow.
And our presidential candidate was already mentioned, it came in third, but our presidential candidate got more than double the votes that our presidential candidate in 2000 got. So people are fed up and they're looking at the Greens for a solution. So not only do we need proportional representation so that when we do get 20% of the vote, we get 20% of the seats, but we also need to be making everyone aware that, you know, we have these great candidates and they're doing really well and working really hard, but because of our system, unless they get 50% plus one, they're not going to win. So it's sort of a two-pronged approach. We need the election reforms and we need the strong parties at the same time.
But it's really great that you have the support. That's very key, because as a candidate, you do have so many. We had like 88 pages in the campaign book to run in Florida. And, you know, I actually read it. And when I went to supervise elections, I go, you know, I read this. And they were like, you actually read it? Nobody reads it. I'm like, well, you know, because you probably don't, because you have a manager that'll read it maybe or something, or you have a big enough, you know, when you're a two-party system, you don't care because, oh, you're going to sue us? We'll just, you know, we got all the money in the world, you know. So, but when you're running independently or with a smaller party, it's good to have somebody so the candidate can just get themselves out there, that they can talk to people, get their minds refreshed, and not have to worry about all those details. You know, it's have a treasurer and have a manager. Those are key. So I think that's the right approach. For sure, it's exciting.
You know, Rick, I had a question about you're working in all the states, and I wanted to get a sense of, or your opinion of which states the Green Party has the best opportunities and because of ballot access laws or other laws, and maybe a little touch on a little ones that are feel like are the most difficult. And even if they're the most difficult, everyone needs to, you know, try to be successful in their state. You know, I know our ballot access in Illinois is brutal. For U.S. House, it's brutal. For all of the national and statewide races, it's pretty rough. But I wanted to get a sense of what you thought were the best places.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different ways to measure that. But, you know, I'm also on the Ballot Access Committee of the National Party, and there's definitely like model states like Florida. Even though their candidate guide is 188 pages or whatever you said, Jennifer, you just need to be organized and have 1,000 members and you're on the ballot. And same thing with Louisiana and Colorado. There's no petition drives at all. You know, it's just like, if you're a legitimate party, you have members, you have your bylaws on file with the state, you have officers, you have annual meetings is all they require to stay on the ballot. Versus Illinois, where you need 25,000 valid signatures in 90 days. You know, and also every
4 years, we have to get 5% of the governor's race to stay in the English party.
Right. Or else you have to do the petition.
I hear some noise. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't have anything else going, so. Okay, but go ahead, Rick. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you have New York, which is double the signatures and half the time. It's, I think, 45,000 signatures in 42 days, and these are valid signatures too.
Right.
And they check them. And I could tell. I did Jill Stein's ballot access drive in 2024 and 2016, and I could tell stories galore about it. But you know, in Georgia and Nevada and probably other states, they look at every single signature and they compare it to the voter registration signature on file.
Yeah.
You know, I registered to vote 40 years ago. I don't think my signature looks anything like it looked like then. Or, you know, you're in a government office, so you're being very careful about your signature versus you're on your way to the movies at the mall and some stranger comes up and you're like, okay, here, boom.
Right.
It's just absurd, some of the rules.
You said they, It's the Democratic Party. People need to know that the Democratic Party is the one that tries to destroy us in every state.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Florida's a Democrat. Well, I guess it's
Jennifer,
not really.
I muted you
Oh,
really
really?
quickly
Okay.
because the interference is coming from your side.
Anyway.
Here you go.
But yeah, no.
There you go.
I got it fixed. I
mean, it's
Okay.
not. I think New York and Illinois, the two big ones. Nevada is definitely. We got sued in Nevada this time, even though we turned in triple the number of signatures, and the state government had given us the wrong form to circulate.
Right.
And they got sued for accepting the signatures on the wrong form, and they said, well, we're not going to defend it. So yeah, they just totally, whether it was like premeditated ahead of time, I'll never know. But yeah, that was a heartbreak that we worked so hard there and then got thrown off on this technicality. I mean, it was, I think we turned in 22 or 20, at least 20,000 signatures. The requirement was 8. And we didn't make it.
Almost triple.
Yeah. And the cost too. The Stein campaign, both years I worked for her, spent over $500,000 to get on the ballot. Think of what we could have done with direct voter contact with $500,000,
right.
And how many more votes we would have been able to get if we weren't struggling. And, and people were exhausted. Both Missouri and Maryland gathered like over 15,000 signatures in the year running up to the election. And then with 3 months to go, they were all just like, we did it. And now we're burned out and we got to like get ourselves all motivated again. Whereas if it had been Florida or Colorado or Louisiana, it would have been like, skip that whole first exhausting part and just get to talking to voters right away. So yeah, the system is really bad. Not only do we need proportional representation, but we need to reform a lot of these laws. And I think, frankly, that proportional representation would reform that because it's party based and it's not candidate based so much. The party says, these are our candidates and there's no ballot access issues. It's like the parties, I mean, there would have to be some issues.
Jennifer dropped.
I mean, some kind of regulation to get on the ballot, but so they keep using this excuse, voters will be too confused if they have too many choices. It's like, sorry, but you can go to 31 flavors and decide what you want on your ice cream cone. You can figure out what you want on your pizza, but you can't figure out who you want to vote for. Really?
That is such, and again, all of those things are such propaganda. Rachel Maddow, Rhodes Scholar Rachel Maddow, for some reason she got forced to talk about ranked choice voting on her show once. It's so confusing. I mean, it's propaganda. Everything is propaganda to try to stop progress.
Yeah. So
yeah. And then you also had mentioned you felt like there were some big gaps in the Green Party's methods to be successful in electing candidates. This was early on in the show, so you remember that, but I was wondering if you wanted to talk more specifically about what you felt were some of the issues that we were dealing with, whether it was in a specific state or just barriers to our success.
I'm not sure what I would have meant by gaps, but I mean, I think the barriers are pretty clear. We have a media that doesn't pay attention to us. We have these ridiculous hurdles to climb just for the privilege of being on the ballot in a democracy. And then we have voters who, it's this like weird catch-22 for them. They want to vote for who they want to vote for, but they know that candidate is really unlikely they're going to leave. If everyone who wanted to vote for Green voted Green, we probably would be winning. But there's, there's the incredible pressure. The Democrats say, I survived anyone but Bush. I survived vote blue no matter who, and we'll get it again next election, too. It's like, you only have 2 choices. And that's the biggest misperception we need to shake and create is that no, you have many, many choices, and your vote's not about who, your vote's not about who you think's going to win. It's about who you want to win.
Right.
Not who you're
I think we talk
afraid
about
of.
that every single week, and they're at it again. Bernie and AOC are out and about.
Yep.
Just sheep herding people for 2026. But Michael says Democrat Party ain't nothing democratic about them.
Oh God.
Justin B's in the house. Justin.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I call them the disappointing
Democrats. Ended up backfiring. Abandoned Harris voters had nowhere else to go but Trump. The Dems keep shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But I think the best example from this last election is voters in Dearborn, more Democrats voted for Trump than voted for Jill Stein. And it's just like here 4 years earlier, he had been talking about, had been working on, not just talking about, but a Muslim ban. And then 4 years later, they're voting for him.
Yeah.
It's like short-term memory loss. And it's the whole fear thing. It's like, we want Biden to know, we want the Democrats to know we're pissed off at him. So we're going to vote for someone, I would say, even worse. I know that's debatable and it's incremental, but but it's because the perception is the Greens can't win.
Right.
And one thing is we need to start winning local races. And that's what we did in New Mexico when I first came in, when I was developing that 20-year plan I talked about earlier. We were, every election cycle, we got someone elected to be a judge, a school board member, a city councilor, town assessor, whatever. And then they were in office and you could see what we were doing. And we helped create a bus system in Santa Fe where there wasn't one before. We had the second highest minimum wage in the country for a while because Greens and others, we weren't the majority, right? So I can't take all the credit, but the same people that elected Greens were sending a message to all the other counselors that said, hey, we're voting Green and you better pay attention to our desires, whether you're a Green or not. And it worked. Mm-hmm. And then we were running in the national and statewide races and doing really well. I mentioned earlier, we had 2 congressional candidates get 17% of the vote, which was almost a record at the time. And we had a couple of statewide candidates get in the 30s and 40s in 2-way races against just a Green and a Democrat. I ran for state legislative commission against a Democrat and got 42 or 43% of the vote.
Wow.
And, people were willing to vote Greens. I don't know this, but I may be the only Green candidate who ever has had a PAC supporting him called Democrats for Rick Last. That's how bad the Democratic candidate was. And you talked about instant runoff voting. The Democrat was in a 6-way primary and won with 21% of the vote. So 79% of the Democrats had wanted someone else.
Minority wins. That's crazy. Just like California,
right.
Yeah.
And we talked to them. It's like, hey, instant runoff voting in your primaries and you won't have this problem.
Right.
Right. But I'm sorry, you started to talk about California.
Oh, I was just going to say, glad to have Jennifer back. I think we fixed whatever that sound was that was going on. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was someone that was here that was said that they would be quiet and then they weren't.
Okay.
So you kicked her to the curb.
Yeah, I did. I walked up and I did a little something, and then it's like they can't do anything now. They're tied up, gagged.
Here at the Green Party.
You have 21 minutes and then you
I'm very nonviolent. I'm very nonviolent, which is why I guess that person took me not seriously.
Oh.
So, but yeah, as far as like what we've had to go up against, and I'm amazed how well we still do. I mean, we have been prevailing through so much. I mean, we were on the ballot in 5 states, not even to be written in, like in Nevada, like we went to the Supreme Court, like you said. Ohio had signs at the polls that said, if you vote Green, your vote won't count. We got 5,304 votes anyway, but like, what kind of, who does that kind of stuff, And, Vermont and Iowa and Wyoming, they were automatic write-ins. And New York and Illinois and Kansas had registered write-ins. Everything was different. I mean, it's just, they hired social media guns and corporate media blackout, and then, or else they would like use the same, that they would spin lies, and they would always, if Joe was on, well, do you feel like do you have anything to do with Russia, and do you feel like you're going to hurt, and it's like the same old stuff she had to, bust through before she could actually talk about her policies. She got better and better at it, but it's just, they made expensive ads against her, and there was legal challenges galore, and and they raised the threshold, as Rick said, to get on the ballot. So I mean, it's considering all the stuff that was done to try to stop us, it certainly gives definitely, it lets people know, like, there's a reason they're trying to stop us, because we are actually what the Democrats say they are, we are. And they just try to steal our ideas. Like the Green New Deal is our, with the Merchandise Committee, we're trying to think of a quick way to say, like the original Green New Deal or something on a bumper sticker. It's like, because it was us. And the same thing with healthcare for all. And like when I took to the worker strike back, and hi, Michael, by the way. But when I, brought this thing from 2000, where, it was Ralph Nader was running with Winona LaDuke for president, and it was workers was the number one issue on his flyer, and he was talking about healthcare, and that's in 25 years ago. So we've already been there. We've already doing these things. So it's it's pretty ridiculous that they want to fight us that bad, but that should clue everybody into the fact that why is that? Why are they fighting so hard? Why are they the same old stories about things? It's stealing votes, and it's like they got to earn their votes.
Oh, and calling people and telling them to take their names off the ballot.
Oh yeah, North Carolina with that. Oh yeah, I mean it's just you name it, they've done.
I know, right? The undemocratic party, right? 75% of Greens that ran in Maine in 2024 won their races. 21 out of 28 races. When liberals say Greens don't run and win, they are full of shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then here's what you call it: the real Green New Deal.
The actual one. Right.
He read my mind.
And
That's
of course,
exactly
it was, of course, AOC who stole it, right? And back in the day, she used to work for the Green Party, and we exposed that. It was Justin who exposed that online when she lied about us and did the trash piece on Jill.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
there she is, promoting Green Party candidates. Yeah, what a fraud. But she was the one who stole Green New Deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what they do. We come up with, we do all the work over here, and then they go, that sounds nice, let's take it over here and ruin it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's run with it and not do anything once we get elected. I mean, Biden did so many promises that he didn't pull off, the $15 an hour wage, that he was going to do electoral college. They were going to do something about that. And they were going to do something, like with the Supreme Court. And then they didn't, until they didn't. They were going to raise it. Do you remember that? They were going to raise it to like 11. Then he could have had 2 picks, but no, he decided, I'm not going to do that. And then the parliamentarian said, you can't do a $15 an hour wage. And it's like, okay, I guess I can't. It's like that's why I call them disappointing-ocrats, because they disappoint us all the time.
We're just going to start calling them losers. The loser Dems. Let's just go straight for the throat.
I made up that word and I use it.
What's that?
It's in my phone, so it's long, but I can always get it in easy because my phone does it for me.
Greg's in the house. Another great important topic tonight. Go Greens.
Yes.
And then Joe is like, because Ralph articulates their corruption so concisely, we need to clone him.
Oh.
I know. 90 years old and still sharp as a tack. That's how I got involved in politics, really. Was mostly from him. That's what really got me fired up. We were trying to stop nuclear power plants. I was in the group that we were going around with petitions to try to do that.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't win them all. But you know what? You got to keep trying. And that's one of the things. The Greens have been hanging in there. They're the ones that are prevailing, and we've stuck together. And it's hard because when you have a party like ours, which is we're a diverse party. And so we have a lot of different people going a lot of different directions. But we, always have to come back to our 4 pillars, which are democracy, ecology, social justice, and nonviolence, peace. So those are the things we just got to come back and go, maybe not everybody's going to be, a great ecologist or a vegan or something. No one's going to be all these things, but the idea is that we really try to stick to those values and those pillars. And then I heard the Ohio governor, when he's talking, he was on with RFK about changing the schools lunches and things, and he says our new 4 pillars. I'm like, oh my God, they're stealing that too. It's the international, that's how Greens stay internationally linked.
They're
because
just
of
jealous that we have solutions just ready to go, so they just they steal the talking point, and then they go and do nothing with it.
Right. Exactly.
That's kind of what they do.
That's pretty much what happens. I mean, they whine about, oh, you're going to hurt the Supreme Court is important. And it's like, don't even talk to me about that after what happened with Obama. I mean, they didn't fight that off, and he should have had a pick. And they're so wimpy. It's like good cop, bad cop. And they play I'm sure you guys have been to Washington, D.C. And I've lobbied Congress, and it's like, you see them hanging out together. They're at the same clubs. I've been in the DNC. Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida. She might as well be a Republican. She's a Democrat, but we were trying to get money out of elections. We were lobbying to get public funding only for elections, which would be it's my big thing. It's the best thing we could possibly do is get money out of elections completely and just have publicly funded elections, because we'd all save a lot more money, because you wouldn't have to fund wars.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have to fund the things we don't want to fund and fund the things we want to fund. And actually, public funding doesn't have to be that expensive. It doesn't have to get into the millions and the billions of dollars, which is where it's at right now. I mean, what was it? $100 million just for the Supreme Court judge in Wisconsin. I mean, that's ridiculous. Right. I mean, I'm glad a progressive judge won and a woman, but this is where it's at. And like I said, when I started out, is that money buys bad policies.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz was one of the 15 Democrats who voted to send more bombs to Israel to slaughter Palestinians. Just this.
Well, she's Jewish.
Yeah,
she's Jewish. Yeah.
Well, Zionist.
Zionist. And we were sitting at the DNC with her lawyer and her aide for campaign finance, and the lawyers look like, we want the money. We are all, I'm like, oh, I might as well be talking to Republicans, because they were the same way. And the Democrats kind of pretend, most of them besides her, were saying, yeah, we would do it, but we can't because the Republicans would always win. We can't fight, and it's like, fight them on your policies, fight them on your, but they have nothing they can really look back on to say, remember how good we did? They can't. They have nothing.
It's all about their career.
Good references.
And it's also, it's important to remember that the system is designed to work as it is. We can insult the Democrats all we want, but they are doing exactly everything they are supposed to do. That's all planned. We can insult them all they want, but that is their plan, to do it in this method, to have just enough Democrats to pass a Republican law, right? Yeah.
Well, that is why we need Greens in there.
Yeah.
And I think
that is why we need Greens to shake it up. And, I'm hoping that all the activists that are out here listening, they start to make a noise about proportional representation. I mean, we got to talk it up. And I want to get back to it quickly, because it's just like, really, if you get 60% of the vote, you get 60% of the seats.
Yes.
10%, you get 10% of the seats.
It takes away the fear
so
factor.
Fair.
Yeah.
It removes the fear factor. Well, we have something that we want people to
Vote
do.
the way you want.
I just noticed you put that in here.
I did. It was for the closer, but if you want to bring it up, that's fine.
Well, we're getting close. Then we'll let them have the last part, but there you go. So
go ahead.
I'll put the banner up too. Go ahead, Scott.
And so we're starting early. We are taking a whole year here to have a signature pledge drive, and what we're looking for is people. Actually, I don't think it has to be Illinois only. From what I remember, for the Jill Stein write-in, you could have people from out of state help us too. But we need to. Thank you, Rick. You would be the expert on that. I just realized we discussed that back in the day. So we are working to get candidates on the ballot in 2026, and Illinois has kind of a unique situation where you can have 7 statewide candidates on one petition. So we're going to have 7 campaigns all running their own petitioning gathering, and we're working together because they're all on the same petition. So we're looking for 260 supporters of the Green Party to come out and help us. That's going to be March of 2026 through June of 2026. And we're asking for folks, if they can, to get 260 signatures each. That's going to reach do the math, 67,000, which is 50,000 is really what we're looking for the 7th slate. And then we also already have a U.S. congressperson slated to run. So that's our goal. So there's, if you go actually to the Illinois Green Party website, ilgp.org, you can click on this exact photo, and that will take you to the place where you can sign in. So we're looking to get folks to help us. That's for 2026. So you got a lot of time to think about it. But yeah, if you just do 20 signatures a week, you reach your goal. So it's not undoable. You do the state fairs, you do that, and it's spring, summer, people are out. It's doable. It's doable. So that's what we're shooting
and it's
for.
kind of fun.
It is fun. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, I put it in the chat for everyone that's on YouTube and Facebook. The actual link to go volunteer.
Great.
And we will train you. Don't worry. We'll walk you through it.
And we had a program with the Stein campaign called Green Neighbors, and we did have people coming down from Wisconsin. And Missouri's not going to be petitioning, so they can head down to the southern part of the state, and you can recruit your neighbors to come help. I'm sure we could, get at least, let's just put out, let's say 10% of those volunteers should come from neighboring states.
Yeah,
come on in and join. I mean, it's really exciting. And, maybe the Illinois Green Party can start looking at some homestays, or maybe we'll have people that can afford hotels. We can maybe do some fundraising around that. But,
I got a sofa. I can handle one person.
There you go.
Carbondale, Illinois.
I came up for Jill last summer. And so I'll come up again, and that's March. What's the deadline in June?
Yes, I just wrote June 26th. It's around that date. They haven't finalized. June 26th.
Okay. Okay. You don't know yet. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to know, because I will be. I mean, there's plenty of time to find that out. But yeah, and it is fun to do. It's easier than people think. I mean, there's simple rules. Like, for one thing, when people are walking into a building, you can smile and say hi, but get them to sign on the way out, because when people are going into a building, they want to do something and their mind's on that. They might just go, no. But when they're on the way out, they're like, okay, I'm done. And then you smile and go, hey, yeah, here. And so libraries really, and public place. I mean, it's
and it's really it's the easiest ask in all of politics. You're saying, would you like this person to be able to be on the ballot? Right. You're not even asking them to vote for that person. You're not committing.
Right.
You're not committing to vote for them, but you are allowing them to be on the ballot. This is how democracy works in this state. Yeah. And also, I mean, it's something that you can do. Like, if I went to Elgin, it was a great place. I went to the Saturday market.
Oh yeah.
And it was really, have you ever been there? It's really a nice market, and I got a lot of signatures there. It was like, I wish I had more time, but if I had lived up there, I would be there every Saturday, because it's that's Elgin. But
I see we're running low on time, and I really want one more thing to say one more thing, and that's based on what we talked about, the 4 pillars, and what the Green Party really is the electoral arm of all these movements. And that's what we have to convince voters. Scott was talking about how, that they're brainwashed by the Democrats. The Democrats know the system. They're exactly what they're supposed to be. But so many average voters that aren't really as into the details as we are don't always see that. And that's our mission, I think, as the Green Party, as activists in the Green Party. We have to talk to people in the labor movement and say, hey, it's great you're doing these marches. It's great that you're fighting for better working conditions, but you're on the outside. If you elect a Green Party person, you're going to have someone on the inside making those decisions. Mm-hmm. Talk to the ecologists, all these youth that are working on climate change issue right now, and say, you're doing great work occupying your congressperson's office, but if that was a Green person, you wouldn't have to occupy her office. You'd be going to someone else's. Talk to people that believe in democracy, that are working on whatever issues, open primaries or any other election reforms. Hey, great, you're on the outside making noise about this. Let's get someone inside so you can go to their office and have a conversation about how to get it done, not demanding that they do something to get done, but actually let's make it happen. That's what I say. That's the promise of the Green Party, is we're the electoral arm of all these movements. Sorry, go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, I tell people, like, we're already on your side, like you're saying. And so it's basically, there's no convincing needed. We're already doing it. we're standing up for all these things. Look at our website and just see our platform. And I mean, just the other major thing is, out of all the political parties, I don't know how many, but you know definitely that the top three, being the Democrats and Republicans and Greens, only the Greens, we're the only party that we don't take special interest PAC money, dark money, or corporate money. Right. So you don't have to worry about any of those influences because we are influenced by our voters. Right. You know, people that come and vote for us, people that come and talk to us, people that work with us. And, you know, we're already, like I said, we're already on their side. We're already working for the planet. We're not trying to just degrade the planet. We don't want anyone poisoned. We want to take care of things. I mean, like right now, there's so many things that aren't being done. Flint, Michigan, still a problem. You know, and East Palestine, Ohio. I mean, these places. And that is where, you know, I feel like I mean, what was it when he had that filibuster, this big thing, 25, Cory Booker, yeah, the 25-hour. But did he say anything about the other senators? Like, hey, senators from Ohio, name these people. Say, and Greens would do this. We would say, Senator so-and-so, you know, your city, East Palestine, has not gotten aid. What do you have to say about this? You know, and people that are, you know, you want to raise the $1 trillion for the military. I mean, it's ridiculous when you have people in North Carolina and you call out both those senators. What are you doing about it? Because they had the flooding and the hurricanes in Florida and the tornadoes, that 100 tornadoes went through Kentucky. And yeah, I mean, it's just all this stuff. Like, you senators, you should be doing something about this. And, you know, those guys won't call each other out. They skate around the issues. They never really, you know, talk about anything serious. It's just
yeah, and you noticed he didn't mention Gaza because he had his little Israel pin on there, and he wasn't pushing for any specific legislation. He wasn't like trying to get someone nominated or not, or get him them, you know, denied. They weren't pushing for arms embargo. It was a 25-hour speech. You know,
it was a whole bunch of nothing. A whole bunch of nothing. That's what you get.
What is it they say? It's a big nothing burger.
Yeah. It was his, you know, plan for presidential politics. He's going to run. That was publicity. But I mean, more importantly is that he, you know, right after that, sure enough, he voted Trump's Republican bill to send bombs for Israel to kill Palestinians. So that's what he's about.
Yeah, and it's just like this athleticism, like, oh, look at that. He went 25 hours. Isn't that amazing?
They stand up just to bend over.
Yeah, we don't care how, you know, we don't care if you're the fastest runner. We want somebody that can, you know, execute good legislation for people. And that's it. You know, it's like, we don't care about anything else. I mean, this is the whole idea. So
I wanted to get to some more of our comments because they're fantastic.
Yes.
All right.
We have the best commenters. We're working on this in northeastern Washington, building a coalition of multiple anti-capitalist groups.
Absolutely.
And you guys are going to love this one. Joe Harrington says, Jennifer and Rick, our next presidential ticket.
I love it.
Let's go.
Uh-oh, big announcement. Here on Green Live Stream.
I only got 4 years to
go.
Exclusive.
And Michael says it was a speech, not a filibuster. But I definitely want to show my bestie, Yvonne Scott. Anybody who's been here a while knows this is my very best friend.
Okay.
She writes a fantastic Substack called It's 3 a.m. And the last one, she's putting it out. I think she just put it out today. It's called It's Not Easy Being Green.
Yay.
It's wonderful.
All right.
So I highly recommend everybody go to see Yvonne's Substack. It's 3 a.m. That's all you got to type in.
Love Substack.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right.
I did it. DEI is to die. It's about to die. I did run a Substack. It's the last thing I wrote.
You guys can stick around after we end the stream. We're at an hour. And I just want to thank everybody for their wonderful comments. And please like, subscribe, and share. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. Let's make it let's try for the end of the month.
Okay. Whoa.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yes. And thank you so much, Rick and Jennifer. This was fantastic.
This was great.
Really
Time flies. I had no idea we were that
Yeah.
We had a good
So-
time. Thanks for
Thanks so
inviting
much.
us.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
It was really great.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll see
And
you
everyone,
next time.
yes, everyone go check out. It's on the banner. Hopefully we can put the link on YouTube for
which
the
one?
webinar they had on proportional
Okay.
representation, because it's a
I'll
whole
put
new
it in-
concept. I
I'll
didn't
put it
even,
in the. I'll try to hang on.
yeah, right there.
We got to push
On
for
YouTube.
that.
No,
And
I
the-
gotta
and
get it so
the-
I can copy it. Hang on. So I can grab it so I can put it in the comments.
Well, who put
There
it
we
on?
go.
Which group was it? Was it
It was the Gateway Greens that put it
Gateway
on.
Greens? So look that up
Yeah.
on YouTube and you'll find
And
it.
also
Gateway
look
Greens.
up Pro Rep Coalition of California, which the Green Party's a member of. They've got some really good information about how it works and how they're going to get it done.
Oh, Michael subscribed. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
One more
All right,
down.
Michael.
Hey, woo.
So I'm gonna put the link in the chat for the proportional representation, the pro rep web. I can't talk right now. Webinar. There we go.
Great.
Pro web.
Excellent.
I'm having a problem. I need more water. I don't know.
It's long 2 words. That's why if we can get people knowing about proportional representation, we can say pro rep or even PR, because I mean,
Oh,
like rankers
there we go.
voting. Now we can say RCV.
RCP.
So people know what that is.
The best PR campaign is proportional representation.
Nice.
There you go.
There we go. Edie's
you
always
guys
got
wanna
those
stick around-
slogans.
They
There we
just come
go.
to me from the universe. I don't even know.
Love it.
If you guys want to stick around after we're done,
Okay.
you're more than welcome.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Everyone.
Thanks for
Last
being
Later,
here, everyone.
Wednesday.
Later.
Next Wednesday is
Bye.
going to be Butch Bear. So.
All right, Butch Ware's here on Green Live Stream next Wednesday. He's running for governor of California. We're
My
thrilled to have him
favorite
here.
candidate for governor in California.
Okay. See you
I
guys
saw
on Saturday.
Katie running. That's
Yeah.
kind of scary.
Yeah.
I like her too, but she's not as good as Butch.
Butch.
by any means. Yeah, he's the man. All right, I'll
Yeah.
see ya.
Alrighty.
Uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising.